Morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? Cool. So yeah, my name's Jon Smith, and I work for the Youth Hostel Association for England and Wales. And to my left is Ben Griffiths, who doesn't really look like that, but yeah. It's my favourite photograph of him. Ben's our new e-commerce manager. He's been with YHA for about 5 months. So I'm going to give a bit of background to YHA. And I was going to stand here and tell you a bit about what FROSMO did for our business. But we're a brand new customer. We've only been with FROSMO for about 3 or 4 weeks, a month, yeah. Maybe. So we've not actually gone live with our changes yet. So instead, I'm going to tell you a bit of a story about YHA's business transformation, in particular our digital transformation. And then Ben's just going to run through some of the future things we've got planned, including FROSMO. So hopefully I'm going to describe how we used business transformation, in particular digital, to take our website revenue from what was a declining, sad story, turn the business around and prove that if you get the right user experience and the right people, so that's my resume and my CV there. If you get the right people in place, you can turn an organization around fairly quickly. So for those people that don't know Youth Hostel Association, we're a charity, and we use a network of hostels to help disadvantaged children to discover new experiences and adventure. And we do that by providing a network of hostels up and down the country in England and Wales with about 200 locations, and we take about £50 million in revenue a year. Any profit we make from that, we reinvest back into disadvantaged children. So we are an organisation, and we treat ourselves as fairly commercially, but actually we're a charity at the back of it. And a few years ago, YHA was struggling in England and Wales. We're 85 years old, and a lot of the hostels had not been improved over the years, and particularly in the 70s and 80s, if you visited a hostel in England and Wales, I don't think you'd have had a great experience. At the time when we started, we didn't have any competition, but obviously budget accommodation, budget hotels, B&Bs, and even new hostels came along and started to give users an experience much more to the modern-day traveller. So our new chief executive joined YHA about 7 or 8 years ago, and she focused on 3 areas of user experience. One was the people. So she retrained all the staff and gave everyone the same vision and got us all on the same page. She also got the products up to date. She sold a few hostels off to pay for investments to make sure that the products were the kind of places that the modern traveller wanted to visit. And these are just some examples of the kind of places now that are youth hostels. You wouldn't believe it if you have an image in mind about what a youth hostel is. These things will blow your mind. And hopefully we'll get people now to turn up with their cameras and social media and actually create that wow moment and say, I stayed in this amazing mansion for £10 a night, which is the kind of prices that we offer in the accommodation. And we just looked at the whole user experience, from the bedrooms, free Wi-Fi, ensuite rooms, private rooms, dorm beds, food and beverage, the whole lot, as well as offering new sort of camping and cabin products as well. The last part of the transformation was the digital transformation, and this is the bit where the story is not quite so good. We got the people right, we got the product right, but when it came to the websites, they made a mistake. They took this old, pretty awful website and decided to create a new one, and in 2012-13 launched the new YHA website. A bit of a fanfare, and it did win an award, strangely, but customers hated it. We didn't focus on user experience, and actually in the first year, we lost £1 million in revenue from that new website. We got the user experience completely wrong. I'm glad to say that neither Ben or myself were responsible for that, so that's good. We joined YHA, or I joined YHA 3 years ago, and realized that that website was delivered in an old-fashioned waterfall project management style, so it took 2 years to make. By the time it was launched, it was already out of date. We delivered it in the old-fashioned way, and it just didn't work. We were far too focused on internal obsession and on our internal departments and presenting information to customers the way we wanted to present it, not the way they wanted to use it. And we didn't really have any internal expertise at the time, no technical expertise, certainly no e-commerce expertise. So a lot had to change. And that's when we created our first digital department, an e-commerce department. We just looked at the whole site and tried to do our best with what we'd got to change the user experience and start doing some of the common sense things that my background of about 10 years in e-commerce just told us that we had to do. Some of the basics, we optimized it for mobile, which of course you should do that, but strangely our site wasn't optimized for mobile. Just by doing that with a few CSS templates, we doubled the conversion rate overnight for mobile devices. We started to make sure that you could type and search, and that the predictive text would know where you're going to search, and we hooked that into Google, so that if you was trying to type for a location, if Google knows where that location is, it will predict where you want to go, for example, the London Eye. And then we use social proof just to make sure that it's not only us giving the marketing blurb about how good our hostels are, we actually show what customers think, and our great TripAdvisor scores that are independent scores, people can see those. In addition, I made sure that I put this plasma screen on the wall right next to where our desk is so that the organization could see it. And that was so that we could see that our users were having a great time. They were buying things and that they were online and it's live. If that number on the live user thing went to 0, we knew we had a problem and we hopefully would act on it fast. But it was just to get people to understand it was all about user experience for us. We did a whole load of digital marketing as well, which I don't need to go through, and a whole load of other agile project management stuff, just trying to work out how to deliver better, faster, and cheaper for users. And luckily, it paid off. The traffic came in, it was a better website, and there's the graph that sort of tells a story, really, that we got the user experience right. And our hostels were fuller, so our occupancy for each hostel was going up, as were our income as well. So over the last 3 years, in our 85-year history, 2014 was a record breaker. We then smashed that again last year, and we're about to smash that again this year as well, just by focusing on user experience. And so those profits, that extra money that we've made, we can now persuade the banks, instead of selling hostels to pay for new investments, we can borrow money, and we're just about to build one of the biggest hostels in Europe right next to the Olympic Park in London, and that'll be our 8th hostel in London. So we're really excited about that and the opportunities that that's going to create. So at that point, things get a bit complicated because we've now got Frosmo, which is great. We've got loads more data to look at. We've hooked that into Hotjar, which we, for those that were here yesterday, learned all about that. And it's now got really complicated. We've got loads of data, and we need to work out how we're going to use that data to continue our user experience story. And that's where it gets too complicated for me. So that's when we hired Ben. So Ben is going to just take you slowly through, I think, 3 of the future developments that we've got planned, and hopefully you'll see there how we're going to use Frosmo as part of that. Ben, over to you.
Thank you, John. So I'm Ben Griffiths. I've been the e-commerce manager at YHA for about 5 months. So far, I've focused on delivering our new groups and school trips website. It's a lead generation and information site, which went live at the beginning of September this year, and has been extremely positive for YHA so far. But now my next focus will be to take YHA's e-commerce platform of backpackers, individual travellers and families booking online to the next level. So as John mentioned, today I'll be outlining the key 3 areas that we'll be focusing on in order to improve the user experience on our website. We believe this will be the next big change in YHA's digital transformation. So the first area that we're going to be looking at is personalisation. When we say personalisation, we don't just mean simply showing a welcome back Jon Smith message or sending John an email saying, happy birthday, John, here's a 10% discount code, and we're done. What we're actually talking about is taking the old traditional one-size-fits-all generic experience we still see online today, scrapping away with that and replacing that with an experience where we can serve the user content which is suited towards their personalities, their interests and needs, and we can also provide them with a custom experience which is tailored towards their online habits. So one way which we'll be doing this would be to dynamically create content around a user's recreational interests. So as a rambler, if they visit a site on YHA, they may get content and images and hostels that are suited towards people who enjoy walking. This could be displayed a number of ways. It may be we show them beautiful images of the English countryside, or we could show them a detailed walking map which outlines popular walking routes and trails. Whichever one we show would be determined on what type of user they are. So are they the type of user who enjoy the visual aspects of a website? Do they like to look at pretty pictures but not read much text? Or are the type of the user that needs much more detailed information before committing to a purchase? Another tactic that we'll be looking at is by personalising on-site marketing messages. So if the user Jon Smith came to the website, we may say something along the lines of, "Hey John, have you thought about staying at YHA Ambleside this July? It's perfect for 2 adults and 1 child, and the location is well known for water sports." From this, we could then show John availability at that hostel around dates and times that we believe is suitable for John. We can do this by looking at John's order history, and we can see that John has stayed at other YHAs within the last 3 years in the first 2 weeks of July. In short, personalization is a great strategy for online businesses to help improve conversion and increase sales. But at the same time, it's also important that we don't over-personalize and scare the user off. The key to controlling this is to test, record, and analyze all the activities you put into practice. And this now brings me on to our next and second area of focus, which will be split testing. So for those of you who are not familiar with split testing is basically when you create multiple versions of a web page, and then you look at which one converts visitors the best. When the test is run, the traffic is split between the different versions and the performance is tracked. As I've already mentioned, it's extremely fundamental for any online organisation to test, record and analyse. From this information, we can stop making assumptions and start to make smart, data-driven decisions. From this information, we can look at what works well and what doesn't work so well. We can then flush out the unsuccessful tests, learn from them, and then using FROSMO, we'll be able to spot the ones that are successful. We can then look at developing these further using FROSMO and then release this into the full traffic profile for further testing. This now brings me on to our third and final focus, which will be rapid development. I'm sure most of you here will agree that developing any type of software product can be extremely challenging, whether it's adding new functionality to a website, fixing bugs, or launching a new app. Traditional development can be extremely, extremely challenging and cause many headaches. From this, we can use the rapid development to replace our traditional development. And what we mean by that is we will start to create things in FROSMO at a faster pace. This means that if we have any issues with a particular feature that we release, then we can simply turn that off with a click of a button. I'm sure many of you who are used to traditional software deployment will agree there's nothing more frustrating when you release 3 new features to a website, only to find out one of the features has got a bug and an issue, so you need to pull that feature. However, since all 3 features was rolled into the same deployment, when you roll back, you lose all the changes. This means that if the other 2 changes and the other 2 features was performing successfully and was being well received by the user, when you roll them changes back, you actually start to inconvenience them and cause them a bad experience. So using FROSMO, we'll be able to develop new features and functionality and deliver that to the user faster and more often. And as I've mentioned, if we do have an issue, we'll just simply turn it off with a click of a button. Another great reason for using rapid development with Frosmo, it might not be for everyone, but what we'll be doing is we'll be using Frosmo to trial concepts. If the concept works, then we'll schedule this development in with our agency, who will then build this into the core code of our Drupal system. This ensures security if Frosmo ever goes down. I'm sure it never would, but it's always good to have the added benefit of bringing them modifications into your actual system. Not only does this save you more time and more money, it also allows you to project realistic return on investment because you've already seen what the results have yielded from the Frosmo test. In order for us to deliver these 3 focused areas successfully, we need a strong strategic model. This is where the hybrid agency model comes into play. So at YHA, throughout our entire history, or our entire digital history, sorry, we have always used a fully outsourced model where all the development has been outsourced to an agency. And as obviously Jon's mentioned, from that we've seen it's had quite devastating consequences. Moving forward, we'll be adopting this hybrid agency model where YHA developers and designers will creatively collaborate with external agencies. This means that we'll be using Frosmo ourselves, and then we'll be using the agency to use Frosmo. We'll be using Frosmo's developers. It's great for inter-client agency relationship, and it helps them understand the reasonings behind why you're making such changes. Another major reason why we're focusing on user experience more than ever is because within the next 12 to 18 months, we are looking at launching an entire new website. This will be on the Drupal 8 platform. Currently, our new groups and school trips is on the Drupal 8 platform, so we've used that as a little bit of a trial to make sure that we're happy with the capabilities and that the support and modifications that we need are there. This will include an entire new redesign. We'll be looking at all the customer journeys and improving them. This includes the hostel booking journey. And as well, we've got the added benefits of extra security and improved site speed overall. Not only does Drupal 8 offer these great incentives, but it also has a RESTful API, something that we'll be using to integrate a new YHA app that we've got in the pipeline. And from the good news yesterday, we'll probably be using that API to connect to Frosmo as well. So in summary, I'll be basically adopting OUXD attitude, which I call obsessive user experience disorder. And I'll be ensuring that my whole entire team, our agency and internal stakeholders are just obsessing over how can we make the user experience much better online and offline and make it seamless throughout. I'll be doing this through the hybrid agency model, focusing on the 3 key areas, which we believe in turn will help us to improve the customer satisfaction and still allow us to increase that revenue. So thank you for listening. I'll now pass you back over to Jon Smith.
Cheers, Ben. Thank you. That wasn't bad for 3 hours sleep, was it? There's a couple more slides, but hopefully that little case study just shows that focusing on user experience and getting the right user experience in place at the right time, we have managed to turn YHA around. And I think if anyone's sort of wondering whether digital and whether maybe even Frosmo can make a big impact, I think we're definitely here to say, yes, it can. And we're hoping that if we continue that rapid development cycle, we'll continue that revenue increase. And just to wrap up, one of my quotes that I always keep remembering from Mr. Jobs, who's a great person to get quotes from, you can't just ask customers what they want and then try and give it to them. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new. And I think that's where we are now, where we're realizing that we need to use all the data that we're collecting, this real-time live data, to find out what customers want, maybe even before they know that they want it, and then deliver that to them live in real time. And that's kind of our ambition, really, with everything we're doing here. I tried to make some notes there about our 3 learnings really from our transformation, just as a bit of a takeaway, so it's not just a case study. And I think the main things we've learned are, 1 is embrace agile. So obviously, if anyone's still doing project management in the old way, where you do a 2-year project and deliver it at the end and turn it on, it doesn't really work in today's world. So incremental change, iterative change, is certainly working for us. Internal expertise. So Ben's already talked about the fact we're now trying to build internal expertise and combine that by using agencies and the clever guys at Frosmo, so that we become a better client really, and we get what we want first time round. And finally, data-driven decisions. So using the data to create knowledge and then enable us to make smarter, better decisions and changes in future. And at the heart of everything that we do, we're just continuing that story of user experience all the way through. And that, I think, is us. Thank you very much.